Welcome to the Heidi Thorne Show. I'm your host, Heidi Thorne. In this podcast, I share my real-world self-publishing and small business experience with you. So let's get started with today's show. Now, today's show is a follow-up to the self-publishing survey. We started with the book income review last time, and then this week we're going to talk about what self-published authors are projecting for 2019 for their income. And so let me flip over to the report here. And we had 129 authors respond to the book forecast question. 8 of them selected prefer not to answer, so we had to throw those out. But the remaining 121, the most popular answer for book income forecast for 2019 was $1,000 to $4,999. Now, what's interesting is that that was the exact same most popular forecast in 2016 also. And that's really, really troubling in a sense that they're not projecting over $5,000 in book income. So again, like we talked about the last time, self-publishing income doesn't seem to be a major source of household income. It's either a hobby income, a side hustle, or it's part of someone's business. So for example, authors who produce books to help market their business. If they get money from it, great. If they don't, oh well, it just helped them with their public relations campaigns. Now, again, we're not looking at a lot of optimism, I guess you could say, but when you think about it, it really is pretty optimistic because, as we talked about last week, the most popular income answer is $1 to $99. Oh my. So if they are projecting $1,000 to $5,000 in 2019, do you realize the amount of growth that means in 1 year? That is insane. Most businesses, small businesses, large businesses, I don't care who you're talking about, income growth of even single-digit percentages is cause for celebration. So if you're planning to go from $100 to $1,000, you're planning to increase your income or grow your income by 10 times. That is super optimistic. And it's really hard to do, especially with books, because they're small dollar figures. If you think about it, let's say you're doing ebooks and you're offering them on Amazon for $2.99 and up, because that seems to be the cutoff point where they will offer you the 70% royalty if you opt into that royalty program. So you're going to be getting maybe a couple dollars. Now, imagine you have to do that from $100 to $1,000. So that's roughly $900. You would have to sell 450 more books. Now, I know that seems like not a lot of books, but it is in the self-publishing world. That is a lot of books. I've even seen estimates that say a self-published book may even sell only a couple hundred copies in its entire lifespan. So I'm glad to see that they're optimistic about their income prospects for 2019, but the question is, how do they plan to get there? that will take a massive marketing effort in order to get that level of growth. Granted, we also have to think, well, if you're talking about small dollar figures too, if you go from selling $1 to $2, yes, you've doubled your income. But even then, it's still a quite wide expanse to go from 100 to 1,000. Now, the second most popular income response was, it looks like, $1 to $99 at about 19% of the folks. And then down from there was 100 to about $500, 100 to $499, excuse me. So that was about 14% of the folks. So again, it's really not a lot of positive growth in the self-publishing market. And in the next episodes, we're going to be talking about a lot of the factors that affect self-published income, and can you do anything about it? And I think we need to look at self-publishing in a different way. What are we actually doing here? What do you have enough motivation to make it to the next level of book income? It better be pretty strong motivation, because it's not going to be easy. I've looked at another survey that has just come out recently too, and the results for self-publishing were kind of aligned with what I had found too, but they surveyed more traditional published authors who were maybe doing self-publishing as part of their book income, but not the full thing. But still, the figures were not that positive. And what was indicated is that it is not enough to sustain a household. So what are you going to do to fulfill your writing dreams while still creating income for yourself and your family? So I encourage you, as always, to be realistic about your projections and your prospects for self-publishing. Now, again, I do have some friends who were making a ton of money on self-publishing, but their situations are so unique. And when I'm looking at some of the higher income levels, I only have a few of them who are projecting. I think I had one, if I remember correctly, I had one who was making a pretty good money, or one response that was making very good money this year, and they were projecting like 40,000 less. And this was the top tier type of folks, and they were projecting 20, 30, 40%, or not percent, but dollars less for 2019. So we have this mixed bag of optimism, but not true growth and true optimism. So I'm sorry, I wish I had some better news about those kinds of things. Again, I think you need to evaluate your self-publishing journey and where you are on it and what that means for you. So I hope you found these results interesting, if not insightful. And if you did, I would appreciate it if you would go over to iTunes and give the Heidi Thorne Show a nice rating and review. And while you're there on iTunes, if you would subscribe to the show so that you don't miss one of these episodes, because we have a whole lot more material to cover from the self-publishing survey. And so you're not going to want to miss one of those episodes. And in addition to iTunes, it's also on Stitcher and Podbean, and the video version is on YouTube. And if you like to listen to your podcast on Alexa, you can use the AnyPod app to access the Heidi Thorne Show. So don't forget to subscribe. And definitely share the Heidi Thorne Show with your friends and followers on social media. I would really, really appreciate it. My books, my self-published books, are available on Amazon. You just have to search for my name and you'll find my author page. You can just go to my author page and you'll see all of my books. And my audio books are also available on iTunes and Audible. So thank you so much for listening and for your support. I'll look forward to talking with you again in the next episode. And in the meantime, have a great day.